that anymore? I don't think so. I think we're good on that. Yeah, so this should sound pretty good. We should be good to go on that. Yeah, so in my master volume, I should be good. I don't need that either. I got my comments right there. It's a little janky, but it's gonna be all right. So I am Jim Schultz. I am your tour guide, and you guys made it, man. You guys made it to the weekly shred. So here we are. We did it, and I'm pretty sure that my audio was hot there the entire time. So you guys heard me coughing and sneezing and getting ready for the show. But that's it, man. That's how we do it here on the weekly shred. So my name is Jim Schultz. I'm going to be your tour guide here tonight, as I am on every Thursday night. And the weekly shred inside of F Cubed has one purpose and one purpose only: to get you to Shredsville, whether it be a little studio space, whether it be a little high-rise, whether it be as the janitor, the mayor, or just some common citizen. We are trying to get you to Shredsville in the easiest way possible. So I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys being with me here tonight. I appreciate you very, very much. So here is what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about refeeds. We're going to talk about cheat days. We're going to talk about treat days. Like you could call these any number of things, right? Like they go by a lot of different names there on the streets. And so what I would love to know from you guys kicking off tonight, what is your go-to treat meal? Like, what is your number one cheat meal? And I don't want to hear this Quest bar, cookies and cream garbage. I don't want to hear this Lenny and Larry's, white chocolate macadamia nut cookie trash. Like, I want to know, what is the dirtiest, filthiest thing that you go to when, the lights are off, the doors are closed, nobody's watching? Like, what is your go-to thing? Like, I can tell you guys right now, for me, if you've been following my content for any length of time, you might already know this. It's definitely an ooey, gooey, fudgy brownie. Walnuts, fudge, more walnuts, more fudge. Like, we're talking half a sheet pan. We're not talking about one brownie. We're not talking about two brownies. Like, we're talking about a legitimate amount of brownies. So that would be my go-to. Where are you guys at, though? Like, where are you guys at when it's time to have a little cheat day or a little treat day action? I would really, really love to know. And so, refeeds, cheat days, treat days, also known as CC's, also known as, the Great Wall Asian Buffet. Like, how can we actually set these things up strategically? And that's what I, all kidding aside, want to focus on tonight. Because here's what I have found in all of my years in the world of fitness as, a competitive bodybuilder and just taking my fitness seriously and all of that. There are two things. There are, without question, two things that trip people up more than anything else when it comes to nutrition, right? Now, training is a different thing and cardio is a different thing, but generally speaking, nutrition is the thing that's going to determine, your ultimate outcome with your physique anyway. And so that's what we usually focus on most of the time here in the shred. But of course, those other things are important. Without question, though, it's these two things that trip people up more than anything else. Number one, it is snacking. Number one, the snacks. And I'm talking the bites, the licks, the nibbles, the tastes, the whiffs, right? They add up, man. They add up quickly, right? Hundreds, thousands of calories very, very quickly, right? A few hundred calories a day, not hard to do. That adds up to a couple thousand calories a week. And the next thing you know, it's like, why am I not losing any weight, right? Well, those almonds, man, they add up quickly. That peanut butter, man, that adds up quickly. But then the second thing that trips people up is treat day. Cheat day. Right? It's the thing that we all strive for. It's the thing that we're all working towards, right? And don't get me wrong, like, we can do this strategically, and I'm going to show you guys how. If you hang with me for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this strategically to where you can have the best of both worlds. But this is the thing that trips a lot of people up. And we're going to talk about exactly why it trips people up here in just a couple of minutes, too. But I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that treat day is the thing that trips people up? I would really love to know. And then let's see here. We got my man Jerry checking us out tonight. Hey, thanks for popping in again, Jerry. Cheesy, saucy donair. So I'm going to need a working definition on a donair, because you're stepping outside of my vocabulary bounds here. You're stepping outside of my diction, brother. Like, I need a little help on the donair. And I guess I could Google it myself here since I have the ability. But help me out, man. I would love to know what a donair is. That would be really, 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 really helpful. And so, yeah. So when it comes to cheat day, when it comes to treat day, when it comes to kind of going off of the beaten path a little bit, how should we do that? How should we set this up so it is strategic? How should we set this up so that we give ourselves a chance to actually, improve our physiques, to actually make some lasting change while not completely derailing the process? Well, that's what I want to show you guys how to do. And to start this discussion, let's begin by talking about what most people's weekly diet looks like. And I'm being really generous with this image here. I'm being extremely generous with this image here. So let me pull it up here. Let's see if we can do it. And the hope is that this will work. But let's see if I can do this right. And so, boom, that should work. So there we go. All right, so this is what most people's week looks like. It looks something like this. Most people that are making a legitimate attempt at dieting, that are making a legitimate attempt at losing some weight, burning some fat, like getting in really good shape and staying that way, this is what I see happen most of the time. So let's kind of walk through everything you see here on the slide. So the first thing, for the purposes of this example, we're going to assume that your maintenance calories are 2,500 calories a day. Now, your maintenance calories, that's a very, very important number, an extremely important number. It's a number that I know for myself. It's a number that, of course, I encourage all the athletes inside of Full Throttle to figure out, and I show them how to do that. And it's something that I encourage you guys to figure out. And we actually did a weekly shred. It was probably a couple months ago now. I'll link to it down in the show notes. In fact, it should already be linked to in the description. How to calculate your maintenance calories. So I show you exactly, step by step, like do this, do that, do this. And then within about a week or so, you'll know what your maintenance calories are. And so I don't want to regurgitate all the stuff that we talked about in that shred, but I will say this. This number is very, very valuable. This number is very, very helpful and useful and important for you when it comes to losing fat, when it comes to gaining muscle, especially if you want to get, on that lean gain train. Right, where you're not just doing a dirty bulk, where you're not just, supersetting cheesy, saucy donaires, right, with the Great Wall Asian Buffet. Like, that's probably not going to end well for anybody, right? And so, how do we do this little thing called muscle gain in a way that makes a lot of sense? Well, once you know what your maintenance calories are, it makes that really, really doable. It makes it manageable, and honestly, man, it makes it pretty simple. But when we're talking about fat loss, of course, your maintenance calories are critically important because I've said this at least 19 times in the last week alone on social media. You need to be in a caloric deficit if you're going to lose fat. It has to happen. This is priority number one. And so the only way for me to know if I'm in a caloric deficit is to know what my maintenance calories are. Now, maintenance calories themselves, it's never an exact number, right? It's never a perfectly exact science because our bodies are a little bit too complex to make it that simple. But you can get close enough to where you're like, all right, I'm pretty confident that somewhere within, plus or minus 100, 200 calories, like this is going to be my maintenance level. And trust me, that's good enough. But let's say that our maintenance level here is 2,500. Most people, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not really a big problem, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday even, although that's when the wheels might start to rattle just a little bit, not really a huge issue because people are locked in, right? They're like, it's a new week, it's a fresh start, like I'm going to take it seriously this time, and I'm going to really, really get after it. I would love to know what you guys think. Do you guys think I'm kind of on the right track here with my little image tonight? I have a couple more for you guys, so sit tight. But then Friday hits, right? And I mean, come on, I'm not trying to rain on your parade, y'all. Like, I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news. I'm not trying to pop any balloons. I'm not trying to squash any cheesy, saucy donaires. But the truth is this. Friday comes, and all of a sudden, it's like, I don't know, man. That crooked marker is looking pretty good, right? I don't know, man. Those chocolate chip cookies, they're looking a little extra delicious today, right? It's the weekend. I want to let loose a little bit. Right? I want to kind of reward myself a little bit. Maybe I get off of work. Maybe I do this. Maybe I do that. Whatever the case may be, it's the end of the week. Everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to relaxing a little bit. Everybody's looking forward to cutting loose a little bit. So what you normally see happen here, and again, I'm being very, very generous with these numbers. Generous in that I'm being very conservative, I think. If you've been operating at a 2,500 calorie maintenance for the whole week, and you've been consistently hitting 2,000 calories every day, you know you have a nice little momentum built up. You know that you got a little something cooking in the old saute pan there. And it's like, all right, man, you got a little something that's happening. But then Friday happens, and it's not that hard to eat, 900 calories over where you've been, right? It's not that hard to eat 2,900 calories when, you've been gunning at 2,000 for a while, right? When you've been riding pretty smooth at 2,000, then all of a sudden it's like, well, I kind of want to have, those chocolate chip cookies. I kind of want to wash them down with some crooked markers, right? I kind of want to slather some peanut butter on my croutons. Not that I've ever done that before. But it's like, yeah, 900 calories. It's not that hard to do. So now all of a sudden, Friday, you go 400 over maintenance, which is not that big of a deal. It's really, truly not, as we're going to see in the next couple of examples. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But it just kind of leads into what comes next, right? It just kind of leads into what is about to happen. And it looks like my man Jones here hooked me up with a Donair. So hit me up from Canada. FYI, a Donair inspired by Donair kebab. So a Donair is both a Donair and a kebab. That's pretty cool. It's a uniquely Canadian variation on the gyro, the gyro, the hero sandwich. The first Donair sandwiches were created in the Halifax area of Canada. So that's pretty cool, man. Thanks. I didn't know that. That's really, really cool. So a Donair, it's not a pastry. I thought it was a pastry. Like when Jerry wrote that in, I was like, that sound like it just sounded like a pastry. You know, it just had that Donair about it. And I was like, I think this is a pastry. I think this is some kind of like a donut or something like that. And so, that's pretty interesting, man. Thanks for sharing that with me. So, okay, so Friday comes. Maybe you've had a Donair. I don't know. They sound like they're pretty caloric. So one Donair might be half a Donair, might be 900 calories. But then Saturday comes, right? And now all of a sudden, the gloves are off, right? All bets are off, right? You're just let loose into the wild. That is Saturday. That is the official weekend. And now all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? I've earned it. Like, yeah, I ate a little bit extra last night, but you know what? I've earned this. I've earned this. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. And then the next thing you know, it just kind of snowballs. It just kind of snowballs. You may find yourself saying, well, I kind of blew it a little bit. Right? I kind of blew it a little bit, so I'm just gonna enjoy myself. I'm just going to eat what I want today. I'm just going to eat what I want tonight. And I'm just going to figure it out tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about it today. I've earned this. Right? I've earned the right to eat a ton of calories. And I'm not saying you haven't. But I'm just saying there are some issues. There's some problems baked in here, right? Because you can easily eat an extra 1,800 calories. Easily eat an extra 1,800 calories. And then what happens? Then Sunday comes around, and how do you feel? You feel bad. Why do you feel bad? You feel bad because, Friday, probably not so much. But yesterday, Saturday, you're like, man, I kind of blew it, man. I kind of blew it. And I think I need to just start fresh tomorrow. I think I need to just take a new crack at it tomorrow. It's Monday, right? It's, today is Sunday. It's the end of the week. I'm not going to worry about it today. So what? I'm having chocolate chip cookies for breakfast. Who cares? So what? I'm having Honey Nut Cheerios for dinner. Who cares, right? So what? I'm having Captain Crunch for dessert. Who cares, right? I'm starting fresh tomorrow. So what do? You pack in another 1,800 calories over what you've been targeting all week. Well, here's what happens. You put in all that work Monday through Thursday, and it just got washed away. Not only did it get washed away, but you add up the numbers that are on this slide, you're in a surplus of 1,000 calories. You are very slowly but surely moving in the other direction. And this is not what we're trying to do. This is not what we're trying to do. And I think that this is what most people who are really trying to get in better shape, I think this is what their weekly nutrition schedule looks like. What do you guys think? You guys think I'm on the right track with this? Has yours ever looked like this before? I can tell you right now, mine has looked like this for years on end. The first half of even my bodybuilding career, the first half, it was a train wreck. Man, I had no consistency in the off season. None whatsoever. And this was something that I really had to work at over the years to get better at, and I still struggle with it. Even today, when if anybody should know better, it should be me. But I have to be super mindful of what I'm doing. I have to be very intentional of how I'm trying to set things up. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all. So I think that this is what a lot of people's nutrition looks like. Okay, what is a possible solution to this? Well, let's go ahead. Let's pull that up. Let me find my thing here, and let's see if we can do it. So a possible solution might look something like this. So now we got a little different setup here, right? Now what I'm looking at, same basic idea. My maintenance is 2,500 calories. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some carb cycling, which is just something I've talked about on the shred before. I talk about it in my content a lot because it's what I do myself. It's what I have the athletes inside of Full Throttle doing. I just think it's a really, really effective way to go about a sound nutritional strategy. It is certainly not the only way that you could do it, but I think it just makes a lot of sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate medium days, low days, and high days. That's how we're going to set this thing up. So let's say, again, my medium day is 2,000 calories. My low days now, I'm going to have a couple of these a week. This is when I'm really going to get after it. This is when I'm really going to dig out those fat cells, right? This is when I'm really going to push the envelope and try to, really establish that deficit for the week. So maybe it's 1,600 calories. So maybe Monday, I do a medium day. Tuesday, I do a low day. Wednesday, I do another medium day. Now let's stop right here just for a brief second. At this point in the week, you have a nice deficit that you have banked. In fact, you've got 500, 900, 500. You've got a 1,900 calorie deficit banked by Wednesday. You're probably seeing lower numbers on the scale. You're probably feeling a little bit lighter as, the glycogen gets flushed out of your system. You're not holding as much water, and you just feel good. Don't get me wrong, you're going to feel kind of hungry, right? But once you get in a rhythm, this is a really good way to start your weeks. So now what you do on Thursday, and this isn't the only way to do it, of course, but this is just one way that you could consider it. Now on Thursday, you go ahead and you weave in a high day, right? You mix in a high day. But here, our high days are going to be very strategic. Here's all we're going to do. We're just going to bump our calories back up to maintenance for that day. And you can see it happens again on Saturday. All I'm going to do is I'm going to eat another 500 calories over and above my medium day. Now, is that going to allow you to, be within arm's reach of the buffet table? Probably not. Is that going to allow you to go to CC's by yourself where no one can see what you do? Probably not. Right? There's going to have to be some cognitive restraint here, right? There's going to have to be a little caloric restraint here. But here's the other side to that. When you're used to eating 2,000 calories, which, by the way, if your maintenance is 2,500, for most people, now hunger is quite different. It's quite variable from one person to the next. But generally speaking, being in a 500 calorie deficit on a normal day will not be that difficult. It really won't. It might be the first 1 or 2 times you do it, but once you get in a little bit of a rhythm, it really won't be that hard. Don't get me wrong, you're going to feel a little bit hungry, but you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. Like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, right? Like, it's not going to be anything like that. So when you add another 500 calories to the mix and bring your calories back up to maintenance, that's going to be like, man, where's my dance? Where's my dance emoji? Like, where's my woman dancing emoji? That's exactly what it's going to feel like. Because you're going to be like, oh, wow, I get a whole nother bowl of oatmeal. Or I get, a couple bowls of Honey Nut Cheerios, right? Or fill in the blank. 500 calories goes a really long way. And so now all of a sudden it's like, man, this is all I needed, right? I just needed this one little, 500 calorie card. I just needed this little way station in the desert to get me through. And here's the best part about it. You're only eating up to maintenance. You're not setting yourself back at all. You're not derailing the progress at all. And then you come back on Friday, you have another medium day, which again, 2,000 calories is a decent amount of food, right? You're not going to feel that, you're not going to feel malnourished at all, but you're not going to feel that low on calories. And then you come back on Saturday, maybe you want to go out to dinner with your wife, maybe you want to go out to dinner with your husband, right? Maybe you want to enjoy some time with your kids, a birthday party, a work function, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. You weave in another high day, you're set to go, you round out the week, you dig out a low day on Sunday, and look what happened. The whole week, now you're in a deficit of 3,300 calories. That's almost 1 full pound of body weight. There's about 3,500 calories in a pound. Now, it never works out that perfectly. Our bodies are more complex than that. But to set it up this way, it just makes a ton of sense, man. It just makes a whole ton of sense. So, my man Jones says, I try and eat the same food each day, and this way I don't deviate from the calorie count. Yeah, I love that approach, man. I absolutely love that approach. I do something similar myself to where I wouldn't say it's the exact same every day, because that can get a little bit boring. Excuse me, and that can get a little bit, that can have some problems down the road, right? Where if you don't have some flexibility woven into your nutritional plan, in my experience, you're setting yourself up for a hard rebound later on. But for some people, it works. For some people, if you want to go 100%, then go 100%. I'm going to say for most people, it probably won't, though. For most people, at some point, you're going to need to kind of break free. So weaving that in along the way, I prefer to do it that way as opposed to always having it 100% fixed. Now, there's a time and a place to have it 100% fixed, in my view, too. And, you know, for a 4-week period, a 6-week period, or some block where you really want to dial in, you know, the inputs and have a really high level of precision on those guys, like, I love it. I absolutely love it. And so, but even still, I probably eat about 70% to 75% of my meals every day are pretty much the same. Because it just makes it so easy, right, man? You don't really have to think too much. You don't really have to, you know, try to figure out new foods and track and weigh and all that stuff all the time, right? And so that's one of the huge benefits of having taken the time to build up some experience when it comes to, you know, this little thing called tracking macros. So there you go. So this is one way. So this is one way to do some carb cycling to set up your weekly deficit. And again, you're not going to feel, I mean, those high days that only bring you back up to maintenance, they're going to feel amazing. They're going to absolutely feel amazing. And you won't feel, you know, you guys know how it is, man. You know, I got one more example for you guys, but one last thing. You guys know, man, like when you go balls out on cheat day and you just eat everything in sight, you don't feel good, right? You don't feel good. You don't feel energized, right? You don't feel ready to go. Like, you feel like garbage. You feel like trash, right? You just feel like you're carrying a brick in your, you know, small intestine, you know, everywhere you go. And it's like, well, what did I do, right? And so not only emotionally and psychologically are you going to feel some weight, but you're just not even going to physically feel good. And so the benefit of doing it this way, where you have some high days that are a lot more strategic and structured, is you will probably still feel really good. And then, of course, you know, there's a whole other side to this that we haven't really talked about, and I didn't really plan on talking about tonight, but it's the training side of it, right? When you just go crazy with your nutrition, it really slows you down in the gym, which we want our performance to be, you know, as high as possible each and every time we step into the gym. And so by only adding, you know, a modest amount of calories, mostly from carbohydrates and fats, to our nutritional strategy, we're going to be able to really fuel our training to get some really good sessions under our belt when it comes to that. So this is the way that I do it. But what I wanted to do here tonight, so I've got one more example for you guys. And this is crazy. This is really, really crazy. Because this last example that I have for you guys, I'm going to be honest, it's not something that I've tried a ton. But it has a ton of potential and promise. Because there's a guy at the University of South Florida. His name is Bill Campbell. And he does a ton of research around this very idea. You know, nutrition, training for high-level athletes, for physique competitors, people that are really, really serious about altering their physiques and keeping them that way. And he looks at, you know, metabolic changes. He looks at fat-free mass. He looks at, you know, body fat levels. He looks at, you know, the most efficient and optimal way to do things. And he found something that is really, really amazing. And I'm going to show it to you guys here on this next slide. So another way that you could set up your carb cycling could be as follows. So once again, we're going to have our low, medium, and high days. But this is going to look a little different. It's going to look a little different for one really, really obvious reason that you guys can see. Monday, we have a medium day. Let's just say it's 1,800. Tuesday, we have a low day. Let's say it's 1,500. Wednesday, we have a medium day. Thursday, we have a medium day. We're all set to go. Again, and by this point in the week, we have banked a ton of caloric deficits that we can now utilize to move our physiques forward towards our goal. But then on Friday, you have a high day. And here you push up a little bit above maintenance. And I just did that to mix it up a little bit, right? Some of you might like having your high days be a little bit higher. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Saturday, you have another high day. So you actually put the two high days, your two refeed days, right next to each other. And then on Sunday, you have another low day to round it out. So here, the deficit is 3,500 calories. But here's what's amazing and here's what's fascinating about setting it up this way. And here's what Bill Campbell found. he did a study, and I'm going to put I wanted to link to the study in the description, but I actually couldn't do it because if you Google this, you will actually find the PDF that you can download and read for free. You won't have to pay anything. You won't have to subscribe to anything. Like, it's just totally free. The name of the study is Intermittent Energy Restriction Attenuates the Loss of Fat-Free Mass in Resistance-Trained Individuals. And you don't have to write that down. It's just down in the description so you can copy and paste it into Google and you can read the study for yourself. But here's what Campbell found. He found that when you set up your refeed structures in a way that mirrors what we have here on the slide, where you basically have 5, below maintenance days, and then you have 2 refeed days next to each other. He compared 2 different groups. He had one group that just did a continuous deficit. So it would kind of be like the first slide that we had on. It would look kind of like this, where it's basically 2,000 calories every day, but there would be no extra calories on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They just kept pounding the pavement at 2,000 calories every single day, right? This is the continuous dieting group. But then he had a second group that did it like this, where they had 5 days of the week were low days, but then they had 2 refeed days back to back to kind of round out the week. Here is what he found. Both groups lost the same amount of fat. Both groups, identical fat loss. And they were effectively in the same caloric deficit. So the total calories, the total caloric deficit was the same across both groups. But the group that had the 2 refeed days back to back, at the end, same fat loss, but they had more fat-free mass on their frames. That means more muscle. That means they held on to more muscle. And number 2, their resting metabolic rate was higher. Now, let's just stop for a brief second, and let's take 2 minutes and unpack this. And I would love to know what you guys think about this. That's crazy. That's a crazy result. Because when you are dieting for a long period of time, right? Like, you're really serious about getting in really, really good shape. You want to trim up, 20, 30, 35, 40 pounds and just get razor sharp, right? What's going to happen? Well, I can say from experience, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult because, A, you're going to be battling the loss of muscle mass the whole way because you're in a caloric deficit, you're getting leaner, you're going to lose some muscle along the way, so you want to battle against that to the best of your ability. But also, B, or 2, depending on whether I was using letters or numbers, I can't remember, your metabolism is going to slow down. It has to. It has to slow down because you are now a smaller human being. You are now a lighter person, right? And so your metabolic rate doesn't have to burn as quickly, at least not in the short term. Now, over the long term, can you be lighter and have an even better metabolism? Oh, yeah, you can, but it takes time. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment, consistency, all that stuff. But in the short term, man, your metabolism, it's going in the toilet, right? If you're not careful. Now, there's some things you can do and some things that you should do to try to mitigate those effects. But this is amazing. This is amazing because what Campbell was able to show is that there's just something potentially really special about giving your body that 2-day refeed break. Now, he's done some other research about like longer breaks with like diet breaks and stuff like that, and we're going to talk about that in a future shred here coming up pretty soon. But man, there's just something special about having more than 1 day as a refeed. Now, like I said, I've not really tried this very much myself. This is fairly new research, and to be honest with y'all, man, old habits die hard with me. When I find something that works pretty well, I tend to stick with that thing, but I'm also not so closed off to new ideas that I'm not willing to alter, my approach and kind of change my stance and try some new things. And this is one of the things that has me really, really, really excited and fascinated. And so for those of you guys out there that are trying to find a nutritional strategy that you can latch onto that actually makes sense, so it's not keto, it's not intermittent fasting, it's certainly not the alkaline diet, right? It actually makes some logical sense. Carb cycling would be a really good option for you. Well, if you, as I'm kind of leaning out of the if you do set up a carb cycling framework, something where you have back-to-back refeed days, I think would be really, really an interesting way to do it. And if you do it, I would love to know your experience. I would love to know, what you guys find. And so yeah, there you go. Jones is like, interesting study, man. I've downloaded the PDF. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy, dude. You can find you just found it in 2 minutes. right? Like, Google it, you'll find it. Check it out. Like, it's so cool how he set this up and he made it so accessible for all of us. I think that's amazing. And so, that's it, man. That's how I would set up my refeeds. For you guys out there, call it a cheat day, call it a treat day, call it a refeed. You know, you can call it basically whatever you want to call it. But man, I'll tell you, this is just a really strategic way to set this thing up. Really strategic way. You know, the most important thing, if you want to try Campbell's approach and do the back-to-back refeeds there, you know, it's really new. It's really novel. You know, the one pitfall that I would be aware of, and this is kind of the thing that is keeping me from having tried this to this point, is I know myself. I don't typically do well with more than one day where I'm not, when I'm trying to get lean, when I'm in competition prep or whatever, which I'm not right now. So right now it's not a good, like right now it's totally different. I'm focused on performance, I'm focused on calories and that kind of stuff. But when I'm focusing on, you know, getting to Shredsville, right, I don't typically do well with more than 24 hours where I'm in kind of a high day mentality. I just know it very quickly becomes too much for me. I very quickly overeat on those days. I very easily overeat on those days. And I just know that about myself, right? And so, you know, you always hear, you know, this garbage that, oh, n equals 1 doesn't matter. Like, what might be true for you doesn't matter. I totally disagree. Completely disagree. It's like, we can talk all day about what looks great in theory, right? We can talk all day about what the research says and what the evidence shows, and that's important. But if you're not going to actually do it, what does it even matter? If it doesn't make sense for you, what does it even matter? And so we've always got to find that balance, man. We've got to find that balance between what makes universal sense, what the evidence has shown, you know, what the research has indeed found to point us in the right general direction. But then you've got to kind of blaze your own trail, man. You've got to find, you know, the ways to dot the I's and cross the T's that make sense for you, which may not be the same as what makes sense for me. But, like I said before, I'm not so closed off that I'm not willing to try this. I've just been a little slow to step into the batter's box here. But if you guys want to be our guinea pigs, give it a shot, man, and let me know. Let me know how it goes. I would love to know. And so that way I won't have to deal with the consequences myself. I can let you all figure it out and just get back to me. So that would be great. But that's it, man. That's the weekly shred for tonight. I think, you know, gave you guys a little something to do. Gave you guys a little something to think about when it comes to your carb cycling, when it comes to your nutritional strategy, and all the things of that nature. And so, man, if you guys want to hit me with a thumbs up on the video, that would be amazing. If you want to share it with a friend, that would also be amazing. Just copy the link and maybe text it to somebody. It's like, hey, check this cat out. He's got some interesting stuff on refeeds and cheat days and CC's Pizza and all that stuff. That would also be triply amazing. And then, of course, you know, bounce on down to the description. Check out some more stuff. Check out the podcast. Check out other shows on the YouTube channel. Check out livefcube.com. Got free resources there. Got Full Throttle Fat Loss over there. You can give that a look. If getting to Shredsville is priority number 1 for you right now, that might be a really, really good fit. So give that a look. And then, yeah, man, that's it. Thursday night has come to a close. I really appreciate you guys so much for spending your time and your attention with me. It really, really means the world. And Jones, you say thanks. I say thanks to you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. I'll throw you a little love there on the screen. And so, you know, not only to show you love, but just to remind myself that I can actually do this. I wasn't able to do this for the first couple of years of the shred, so it's really, really cool to be able to do that. But you guys are my favorite, man. I don't know what we're going to do for next week, next Thursday on the shred, but we'll do something special because next week will be October 8th, which will be 2 days before my 11-year anniversary with my wife Autumn. So we'll have to do something really, really special. Maybe we'll talk about deadlifts or something like that. And so that's it, man. The weekly shred has come to a close. I will see you guys next week. Oh, we got one final comment that flew in. H. Wilson, I really found this helpful. Thanks, and God bless you, brother. Hey, dude, God bless you. For real, man. Through Christ alone, brother. Like, that's what it's all about. But I appreciate you popping in tonight, man. I don't know, you might be brand new to the shred. If you are, thank you very, very much. I'm so, so thankful, and I'm so humbled that you spent some time with us tonight. And hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully you'll tell some friends. That would be really, really awesome. But, guys, if I can ever help in any way, you guys know how to reach me. Just right down there in the description. And, yeah, man, that's it. The weekly shred has come to a close. You guys have a great night.